Welcome back. On today's Dungeon Design Drive-By, we take a look at Act 4 of a campaign, as it's turning into, of a one-shot I like to call Journey to the Infernal Plane. I'm Mark William, and you're watching Drive-By D&D. Our adventurers run through the streets. The shambling undead groan and shuffle towards them from every direction. Suddenly, Kane turns and says, "Quick, almost there. The exit's just up ahead." You turn the corner and see a large, crookedly constructed 10-foot palisade that surrounds the cursed crossroads. However, the entrance has been barricaded and has set alight blocking your only escape. An undead swarm turns to face you, being careful to avoid the hot flames. Kane yells, "We haven't much time before we're surrounded. We've got to go for it." If you recall, our adventurers had just traveled to the Infernal Plane, to a place called the Cursed Crossroads. They found a man trapped in a hanging cage, Kane, who promised to help them escape the Cursed Crossroads and be their guide in this place, this hellish landscape. At the end of Act 3, the players heard a huge swarm of undead coming towards them, and this is them running to escape. Kane is leading the way. They come upon this scene. Essentially, this is a combat encounter. After I read that little setup, I'd have the players roll initiative, and the battle would ensue. However, the key features of this board I'm going to go over right now. Essentially, the gate is what the players want to pass. However, it's fiery, there's been a barricade there, it's going to require a check, a successful skill check, a strength check, dexterity check, or the players will use a spell or some other means to dislodge this. Once they pass through the gate, you're moving on. So they don't need to kill every enemy here, very key. The next thing is the palisade fence. Players could try to simply ignore the barricade, ignore the danger of being burned, and attempt to climb the fence. Again, another check, and these are spiky fences to dissuade the players from trying to do that without any punishment. They'll make a constitution save or a strength check, dexterity check. Can they climb it? If they're successful, they will do so. If not, they will take some damage, some scraping damage, some pinprick damage. And again, the board will be over and they'll escape. That's the entire objective, is escape. However, they see a huge mob of undead husks, these familiar husks that they've been seeing from Act 1 until now. And they're approaching the players and will try to impede their attempts to just go for it. Those are the three main elements of this board. However, after the first combat round, I would be rolling another d4 for each entranceway on the streets and repopulating these undead. They're being chased. And as I said, this will be a limitless horde. And just they keep pouring in, putting the pressure on the players to either make a dangerous jump over some fiery inferno terribleness, or climb this sharp fence, or fail and get stuck and get swarmed. It's essentially a race against time. Another thing here is Kane is with them, so feel free to have the players ask him questions about things. He is a guide, he can help them, give them clues. I've put some fire templates out here. Players could push undead into the fires, burn them, and give them a little bit of an edge in case they do start to get overwhelmed. However, they should be pushed to get out of here because, as I said, it's going to keep going and going and going. One other cool thing, from Act 2, each player was assigned a color. They stared into a reflective pool, if you recall, and were assigned a color. And this is where I'm going to use these color chips and each of their colors to add more story elements to the game, and it helps me remember what they choose to do and not do to add later effects or later consequences to the players. So, for example, I ran this session, this whole thing, and someone had killed Sir Douglas Idleshire He was responsible for his death in the first board, if you recall. Go back and check out episode 1 of Journey to the Infernal Plane. And the player, he didn't survive, he didn't make it, so I brought him back. And that player looked into the pool and saw the color yellow. And so, out of that mob of people, he sees Sir Douglas Adleshire with a sad face in misery. And he speaks to the player, "Please kill me, put me out of my misery," basically. And the player felt terrible about letting him die in the first place, so there was this moral obligation to stick around and really make sure to kill that undead husk. And I just applied that to the other characters. Each of them, I matched an undead
with their color chip,
and told them to think of someone from their past life that they loved, a friend. I let the players add a little bit of who they think they lost in their past life, who's there and looking at them sadly and wants the player to put them out of their misery. Essentially, this could stall the players, and if they want to complete this little moral objective. And then as a DM, I'll remember who actually killed their person and kind of did the right thing, and who maybe just ran away and didn't put that person out of misery. That those enemies might come back to haunt them later, or it's just something funny that you can bring back to the player. And just a final note is, I added another hanging cage here. There could be another person in the cage as a moral dilemma option. He needs rescuing. However, are the players gonna wait longer and longer to do all these tasks and risk being overrun and killed? That's the board. And if players are successful, however they do it, to escape the Cursed Crossroads, Kane is hopefully going to survive. The player should feel he's important, and he's their he's their guide helping them out. So once they cross the gate, however they do it,
they're gonna find a big silver barren desert called the Silver Desert that no man can get through and survive.
Kane, however, knows a way. And so in Act 5, which we'll look at next week, we'll be looking at that journey through the Silver Desert. Okay, that's all for Act 4 of Journey to the Infernal Plane. Thanks for watching. If you have any suggestions, feedback, I'd love to hear them in the comments. We are trying to improve this channel, keep it going, keep trying new things, and would love to hear from you. So, if that's all there is, which it is, I'm Mark William. Thanks for watching Drive By D&D this week, and remember, all D&D, all day long, all night till dawn.